Alright, hey, what's up guys, it's Roy here, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing another budget-friendly wireless mic setup that I came across on Amazon. Now this is from the company Comica. It is the BoomX-D, and it's the D1 in particular, which the D1 basically means that it's one transmitter and one receiver. This was $89 on Amazon with Prime shipping. If you want to buy this mic after watching this video, do follow my affiliate links down in the description. And if you do feel like you get any value out of this video, guys, whatsoever, please give it a thumbs up and do subscribe and ring that notification bell for up-to-date content. So when it comes to this mic, I have reviewed, let's see, the Rode Wireless Go 2, the Boya BY-XM6, if I'm saying that right, and also another one from Moano, if I'm saying their brand name right. This one is the second to most affordable at 89 bucks. And what you basically get inside is, like I said, of course, you do get your receiver and transmitter, which both have LCD screens on those, and I'll talk about all that in just a minute. But we also get a user manual in it, obviously, that's going to be in different languages to, help you if you need any help or assistance. You also get a dead cat, which the dead cat I really like because it has this really nice rubbery square bottom, which actually fits perfectly onto the square design of the BoomX-D. So that's a big plus. And then we also get a lavalier microphone inside of the box, which is a huge win considering this is $89. And at the end of the lav mic, there's a little clip that actually clips in to the actual transmitter, so that way you get a nice snug fit and it's not going to accidentally get yanked out or anything like that while you're out on a shoot or whatever that you're recording. And then we also get 3 audio cables inside of it. So one is for a smartphone and then 2 are for cameras. But one thing that is a little step further with this mic setup is with those audio cables, they're actually designed specifically for certain camera brands. So one's for Canon, one's for Sony. Now, obviously, there's a smorgasbord of other brands that kind of coexist with that same cable, and it says it on there. But obviously, if you don't own one of those brands, then I'm sure one of the cables will be just fine for you. And then another thing that comes in the box is actually just a USB-A to Type-C charging cable. Which it's unfortunate because they're both USB-C, right, as far as the receiver and the transmitter goes, but you only get one cable. Now for me, I have a ton of Type-C cables laying around, so that's not going to be a big issue for me. But at the end of the day, if you are someone that doesn't, you got to go buy that then. So, or just charge one and charge the other. You're going to be getting about 6.5 hours of, or 6.5 to 7 hours of usage with these. So at the end of the day, as long as you charge it after you're using it or done using it and then charge up the other product, maybe while you're sleeping, just kind of get on a schedule, you'll be completely fine. So let's go ahead and dive into what the actual transmitters and receivers look like. So like I mentioned, on the front of each of them, you do have an LCD screen, which actually does show you content so that way you can check your levels. Now, obviously, depending on the camera you're using, you want to also obviously check your levels on your camera. For example, I'm shooting on the Sony a6400, and I always like to try to have the peak of my green bars hitting -12 on my camera. So that means I'm going to have to change the gain a little bit on this and kind of make it work with my camera. And hopefully it comes in a little bit clean sounding and no hissing or crazy hissing in the background. I can always increase the volume in post, but I obviously don't want to go too crazy or too hot and have just an annoying popping hissing sounds in the background. But with this itself, on this side here, we have our power button and mute button on the transmitter and also a pair button. On the other side, there is a USB-C charging port and a reset button. And that's something I forgot to mention, that the package actually comes also inside the box with a SIM ejector tool, which I didn't know why at first, but then once I started looking at the product, then I quickly realized that's why, because there's a reset button here. At the top, we do have a squared microphone like I was mentioning. And then we have our mic in, and also that little rectangular square where the, or rectangle, where the lavalier mic clicks in, very nice and snug. And that's it, other than a clip on the back where you can clip it to your shirt, or you can clip it to a bag or whatever, or inside your pocket if you are going to use the provided lav mic. But that's the transmitter kind of walk around. And then I also have the receiver here, which once again, it looks identical pretty much. It does have a plastic build, which I forgot to mention, but it does kind of have like this brushed aluminum look, which I kind of like a lot actually. But when it comes to the receiver, I'm going to go ahead and power it on real quick. And let's talk about what we get on the outside. So on this side here, we have our reset button, power button, and the power button does say M and S, which that is to switch between mono and stereo. And you want to make sure, guys, if you're like doing a video like this, to put it in mono, because if you leave it in stereo by accident, you're only going to get sound out of one side. You don't want that. And then on the bottom here, it does say A and B, and that also gives you the hint that you are able to get another transmitter from Comica and actually use the same receiver. But right now I only have one, so it's going to be A, or listed as A on the screen, which you can maybe see there. And then on this side is just our charging port, nothing fancy. Now at the top, this is where we have our, our spot here where we'll plug in the audio cable. So it's the out input to plug into my camera. And then there is also a headphone jack where you can listen to your audio as you're recording, to listen to your levels. And then once again, obviously a clip. Now this clip also is a nice thing to have because you can actually click it onto your hot shoe on your camera, and it just mounts and stays nice and snug up there. So when it comes down to the actual receiver and transmitters, once again, you're going to get different little information on the screen. You got your battery life, you got your levels moving, depending on how you have it set. Now on this, it can only go from 0 decibels to plus 12 decibels, so you can't go negative. So in the next scene that I'm going to be shooting, I'm going to be sitting right here, basically doing exactly what I'm doing right now. So all the audio that has been coming in is straight up with my Deity VLAV mic. Now I have it plugged in directly into my Sony a6400 that I'm recording with right now. And I have my level set to recording level 2 on the Sony a6400. So I'm going to play around with the gains and everything on the receiver and plug it up, which another thing to point out is all this does, guys, on here on the transmitter is actually just show you your levels. So you don't actually have to make sure that your decibels are in sync. So like, let's say, for example, you had this set at 12 and this one accidentally at 6. It's going to automatically be whatever you set the receiver to, but you do get some stuff on the screen like your sync, your signal strength, your battery. There's a little mic button there where you, like I said, you can push that button again to mute the transmitter if you wanted to. That's up to you. But yeah, let me go ahead and play around with this real quick and we'll jump back in and I'll have the first audio test with it just clipped on to my shirt. So let's do that test right now. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of different tests actually to let you listen to what it sounds like, and as I make changes, how does it sound? So I'm going to first do it with it clipped on, and then I'll do the same thing with a lavalier mic. So right now I have the audio recording level set to 11 on my Sony a6400, and I have it at 3 decibels on the receiver from Comica. And this is the audio that you would achieve. Now I'm in a closed indoor environment inside my room. So once again, this is the audio that you would achieve. Now what I'm going to do next is actually bump up the gain on the receiver and bump down the audio recording levels on my Sony a6400 and see if it sounds any better at all. Okay, so I made a couple of changes. So I set the receiver gain to 6. So I'm at 6 decibels on the receiver. And I actually bumped down my audio recording levels to 8 on my Sony a6400. That green line was peaking right at -12, which is about where you want it to be, guys, because I can always increase the volume in post if necessary. But hopefully this comes in a little bit better sounding, maybe, I don't know. And I'm going to do one more fun test, or fun test for me, I guess, is to actually change the gain on the receiver up a little bit more and decrease on my Sony a6400 just to see if it sounds any better. All right, and for the last test with it clipped onto my shirt, I have the gain set to 10 decibels on the receiver, and in my Sony a6400, I bumped it down to 5 this time. So it looks like I could have maybe went down to 4, but I think 5 actually was the right choice. Hopefully I made the right choice. I won't know until I start editing it behind me here. But this is the audio that you would achieve with this on your shirt in a room, settings at 10 decibels on the receiver and 5 on my Sony a6400, which obviously it's going to be different depending on what camera you have. So I'm kind of speaking to Sony people if you are watching with a Sony camera. So now let's go ahead and get the lav mic. Let's click it in. I'm just going to clip it to my shirt here. Let's play around with the gain a little bit again and see what it sounds like. All right, guys, so now I am at 3 dB on the receiver itself, and I have the lav mic hooked up here, so I got it clicked in there, just got it pinched onto my shirt here, and in my Sony a6400, I have the level set to 8, because it seems that's about where it was hitting at that -12 a little bit. I could have went down to 7, but I think 8 hopefully was the right choice again. So once again, this is the audio with the lav mic, provided lav mic, I should say, clicked in, and I'm at 3 on the gain for the receiver, and I'm at 8 for my Sony a6400. So kind of do the same thing. I'm going to bump it up a little bit. I might go to 6 since that's the halfway point, and then I'll see where I need to go on my camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, so in this test, I have the decibels set to 6 on my receiver for the BoomX-D, and I had to bump down on my Sony a6400 to audio recording level 5. So at level 5, it was hitting right at -12, so hopefully this sounds okay, but to be determined. Let me know down in the comments if this sounds good to you or not, or if any of these so far have sounded good to you. And my question to you also is, what is the one that you're using right now? So what wireless mic are y'all using? Are you using the Comica? Are you using something from Rode, from Boya? You let me know down in the comments. But this is, like I said, the audio at 6 and 5 on my camera. So my last one's going to be just bumping it up a little bit more and bumping it down a little bit less on my camera. Okay, so now I'm at 10 decibels on the receiver, and I'm down to 3 on my Sony a6400. So this is the audio that you would achieve with this setup. Now, once again, it's the lav mic clicked in, and I said I'm at 10 for the gain on the receiver and 3 on my Sony a6400. All right, guys, so we are coming to the conclusion of the video, and is the BoomX-D worth $89? I would have to say yes, it is worth $89, but I also think it sounds like an $89 wireless microphone. I do kind of wish there was a little more bass in the sounds once I've played back and listened to everything. It's not a knock on it, it just isn't as good as I was hoping. But that doesn't mean it's bad, especially for someone that's on a budget. If you got 90 bucks and you're trying to get a wireless mic set up, this is a good investment. But for example, like I think there are other ones out there that might be just a little bit better sounding and close to the same price. But that's just my opinion. But you let me know down in the comments, what does it sound like, guys? Did it sound good with the lavalier mic hooked up to it? Did it sound better when it was just clipped to my shirt? You be the judge. But I appreciate y'all watching the video, and once again, if you got any value out of this video, please do hit that like button, do subscribe, and do ring that notification bell for up-to-date content. So be safe, God bless, and I'll see you on the next one.